Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Chris, for the opportunity here to speak. My name is Sankar, Shanmugam. I work at Verizon. My role is I'm responsible for delivering the chatbot for our organizations. Especially, I'm catering for wireless customers, their account needs. Right. So I'll go more detail. The chatbot is one of the applications in AI. I'm going to explain how we use day to day the AI in terms of the chatbot world. Right. I'll give you nuts and bolts of the chatbot, how the AI get connected to the chatbot world, and also the business side. How is it helping us? Right. How is it helping us to reduce the cost? And those are all my talk track. So feel free to interrupt me. Right. Because the questions towards the end I may not be able to correlate exactly the context of the question. Okay, so if you look at the industry shift that is happening, right? Business on the other side is always worried about calls, number of calls coming in, right? And no matter what we do on a digital side, the left side is digital, the right side is the human touch points, right? Customer has a question, they pick up a phone and call us, right? And lately what we are seeing is they are all chatting with us. It's probably the shift that happening towards the industry. The calls are coming down and more chats are happening. And it's a chat means a live chat, they talk to a real human on the other end, right? They ask questions. It is very useful for the customer because they are in the meeting, they can fire a question and ask the question and then go away to the another meeting. They can continue the conversation. The call, in other words, you tend to tie it to the call and you hang into the call and you kind of keep talking to the person. So it gives them the multitasking capability. So there is a good shift happening from calls to chat, right? And if you look at traditionally what we did on this digital channels, right? We started off with the website. We make sure our customer knows the content. We explain to the customers, okay, here are our plans. Here you do when you go to international, right? Here is how you pay the bill. We throw all the content out there and provide a very good search engine, right? And then where the convergence happens is, those search engines don't tell you what is exactly the dynamic data. If I ask a question on the search bar, right? Am I due today? That kind of question may tell you, okay, go here. There is a page there. There is a bill. And you look at the bill due, right? It doesn't come back and tell you, okay, your bill due date is normally 10th of every month, right? The answer is that specific. So where it converges both is the bot answers specific question our customers, and naturally the bot don't answer it, then go to the live chat. So that's the shift that we are seeing at this moment. And if you look at there is a triangle out there, the cost per touch point, right? On the other end, the cost is very high. To handle each call is very high. As we go down this side, the cost is very cheap for us. So we're trying to find a middle ground, so the customer is happy as well as the cost is manageable. So this is the trend that we are seeing. We are in we launched our bot on last year, 2017, and we are still learning. We are going through a lot of things. But where we are heading us is like going through the next channels like Google Home, Alexa, and IVR, especially the IVR, right? How do we take the same content and corpus that we created and put it to all other channels, including audio only or audio plus visuals? And then finally, is there a possibility to create a virtual character that represent our business face, right? So that is also a possibility. So we are looking at all these angles, but at this junction, we are in somewhere in this voice mode right now. Looking at more options around here. So what we are trying to do is build a core model, right? The core AI engine which caters all our need on all other channels. Like right now, if you look at the chatbot world, it's purely a question answer interaction. Customer asks questions, we try to answer them, right? That is what we are trying to do now. But the same model, we are trying to see how we can power if we put them out in front of IVR, right? IVR takes the audio in, converts them to text, and then go to the same bot and gets the answer and convert them back to audio, right? Again, the speech synthesis has to be good enough to present to our customers, right? But it is possible. So we are working on those areas. And then the last is the avatar. Avatar is again question mark at this point, but we are exploring that the industry is going towards that area. the avatar could give you a human expression on the face. So, we cannot rule out that possibilities. We are looking at that angle as well. So, looking at the core component of what is chatbot is, right. The chatbot, there are three pieces that I would say, right. The first one is natural language understanding or natural language processing, right. The given question, the bot need to understand the question is, this is what the question is. That is the first point. Second is, there will be a sequence of question and answers. How do I collect them, orchestrate them together to solve a problem? For example, customer says, I want to pay my bill, right. We come back and say, okay, here is your bill amount. Do you want to pay now, right? So, if they say yes, then we say, okay, which card you want to use, right? This is like a sequence of question and answer. Finally, you complete a transaction, right? So, that is orchestration. And then the final is the IT systems. The IT system is you connect the real time data, like, can I pay my bill, right? Yeah, you can pay my bill. This is your dollar, amount, and this is amount date due, right? All of them are real time data. How do I collect the real time data from our backend system? So, these three pieces are a core, and then we build around the other channels. Quickly, I wanted to just build on this, so that the other slides are more meaningful. How does this NLP works? The first block what I talked about, this one, how does it work? It's nothing but a machine learning model, right? If you want to understand the bot to understand 10 different questions, in the analogy here is, if you want to understand a machine to different colors of the ball, you basically give them a different colors of the ball and train them, right. So, you train them, then you create a machine model, right, and then you give any unknown color of the ball to the model is going to give you the predicted output. This is as simple as that on the NLP as well. So, if you are NLP world, you want to understand 10 different questions, you give them examples for the 10 different questions, and then the new questions could be, the model could be understanding and mapping to one of the 10 questions, right. So, that is how it works. So, the example here is, if I want to train the two different questions that we have in our bot, right. Verizon Up is our loyalty program, and if we wanted to understand the customer intent to enroll into the program, this is how we train them. We give them various ways to say the same thing, right. So, give them that. And then the other example is data usage. Customer always says, what is my data usage, those kind of details. So, you give them examples. So, this is just tying back to the previous slide. So, you basically give them examples of the question that you want to address, and then the mission model, it get generated, and then the customer question could be mapped, right. Again, not all questions could be created. There is always going to be unknown question that bot don't understand. There is always misunderstanding the question as well. So, both things we need to deal with it. Again, here is where the that we use the Google dialog flow. The first two blocks, the NLP prediction as well as orchestration, we use the Google product dialog flow out of the box, and then we use additional machine learning tools to support it. I will cover them and as we go. Okay, so, this is the example of how you orchestrate your dialogue, right. On the yellow box on the top, what you say, customer says, right. Here I am going abroad. So, this is all your training. So, if you are expecting the to understand customer question about I am going abroad, and give them examples, and then there are logic that we put in split, right. If customer says there is a country in it, right, then you don't, if they don't give any country, then your next question would be, where are you headed, right. So, the logic need to be built in. Okay, the sentence has a country in it, or city name in it, or the destination information in it, then ask the subsequent question, right. That is basically what is in the NLP, what is in the question itself, right. And then the yellow box here is, we go deep into your account, and as in this case, example is, customer says I am flying to Mexico, right. In this case, I have a Mexico country. Now, I know the customer. Now, I log into, now I go check in our backend database and see if this customer has already international plan, right. Then you have two different answers. For the customers with the Mexico plan, we tell them you have a Mexico plan already. For the other customers, we say them, oh, you don't have a plan, you want to enroll. So, there is another flow we connect them to, and they go there, and that flow handles them the enrollment of the international plan, right. So, just to give you a level set here, if you see the yellow box on the two sides, right, those are all the training that you have to do for machine to understand the question. There, the cities and the countries that you need to give them examples, and dialog flow gives you out of the box entities, you can use it. And if you look at that other examples, you have to give them various way of saying I am flying, I am going abroad, I am going international. There's a ton of ways you have to say that, right? So that's the orchestration. So in Verizon, what we do, right? So the bot is currently put out on the app, My Verizon app, and also if you go on our website, there is a contact us page. There is a bot there. You can interact with it. But primarily, we use our bot in 3 areas, right? The first 3 areas. One, the customer don't do anything, right? They just want their information. They want to know what is going on in their account. So basically, explanation about their account. What is my bill? Why is my bill is not reflected, right? There is no update to their account. It's just that they want to know what's going on, right? That is the first piece. The action dialogue is mostly they are performing a transaction, like enroll into the plan, enroll into the loyalty program, or making a payment, right? So those are all actions. The last piece is like how to's, FAQs, basic FAQs, like is your phone is unlocked for international use. I am going to say France, can I use this phone in there, right? So is it unlocked? So some of them are static answers. We don't need to really dig into our back-end customer account. We can simply tell them here, all our phones are unlocked. You can always swap your SIM card to use it there, right? So this is the 3 buckets, but there is always chances that the customer has something we don't understand, right? So that gets into the last bucket, unrecognized intent. This is where we have a phrase says, I didn't understand, I'm still learning, right? Some sort of message, and then we also give them a relevant site search result in our website or app. Nothing happens, we connect them to our live persons so that they can speak to our agents, right? So that's how we connected them, the bot and the agent, and back together. So they talk each other. So some places we reduce number of unrecognized question to connect them to live agent. If the web channels are much more sensitive, if we don't understand a very first attempt, we tell them, do you want to talk to our live agent, right? So then if they say the live agent, then they are talking to one-on-one with one of the agents that we have in the call centers. So this is our structure. So the next thing what I am going to cover is where are we focusing, right? How are we building? How are we expanding? Where is our focus going on? What is our strategy on expanding? So these are all my topics. The first one I am going to say is improving the conversation design. Currently, how do I cover the the ground of the whole question base, and how do I improve it? How do I improve the satisfaction on the customer side? And then subsequently I will go through one by one. So these are all the 4 topics. One, I wanted to give them human-like answers, right? Sometimes whatever the way we say, it's like machine sound, right? I have my UX dialogue designers, they'll create the answers. Even then, that answer is more robotic, right? So one way to address that is looking at the live chat itself. How do they address if customer says, I am going international? What is the very first answer that our live agent says, right? It says, sometimes I look at it, it says, oh, traveling, great, I wish I would be there, right? That's how they start the conversation if it is human on other end, right? So great, take that examples. So get some of those examples, plug it in your bot, so that then your bot looks more human, right? It's challenging, but that's the way to go, right? The second box, right? Don't expect if you ask customer to type every single time, one problem is we don't understand them. Second is, you may end up falling out and you lose the transaction. It's better always provide them a quick replies, like, do you want to enroll? Then give them yes, no option in a bubble, so they hit on it, then they go next, right? And also use a platform widget, like if you want to ask them what date you want to enroll, then immediately give them the date widget that is available on native Android system. So they easily pick. Don't expect them to type like January 10th, right? Obviously, we are going to fall behind there. So those are all the things. The last one is don't expect the customer to even type the very first. Is there a way to predict when they come into your bot what they are going to ask, right? The chances are they search something on your site, right? There's something going on our account, right? There are very good way to predict what could the customer be asking, right? And there are pattern in which we know the customer always come here for that particular reason. So there are ways to understand what the customer intent could be, right? That's a very good ML technique to avoid your unrecognized intent, right? Because if you present the 4 question and that is the choice happen to be, they click on it, they are not going to type anything. immediately they are going into a dialogue to finish the conversation. So, that is one other way to improve the conversation. So, when I look at my bot, right, how do I see it is the y axis, what you see is how many questions that I answer right now, right. Obviously, I have to keep increasing it. Right now, I have around 1600 questions, but I am keep adding it, right. So, I am keep improving on this side of the on the axis. I am adding more questions, but what kind of answer I am giving is also important, right. Some of them I can, if I understand a question is coming up recently, right, I am going to immediately add a intent there or the question there, but the answer could be as simple as go here and find out the result, right, because I am going to check, I am going to work with my business partners to find an answer, but I know there is a static page out there in the web or app which has a lot of information about it. So, the very first thing I do is, okay, this is the new question, I find it, and this is, I simply say here you will find more detail, and I insert the question in the bot, right. That is what you see on the top side, link aways to web or app, or some questions like very complicated, those things I will say I will get you a live agent, right. And some of them are very simple, they ask one word, like they will say insurance, right. So, we do not know what is insurance, what they are talking about. They are talking about a status of the claim that is submitted, or they are talking about want to enroll insurance. So, these are our disambiguations problem, right. So, one simple thing we do is this, that is why we put them on a shorter the width is very simple to do, but there are three things that we can do is more personalized disambiguation. For example, if they say insurance, we can know that this customer is already insurance, do not ask them another disambiguation question you want to enroll, because we know he is enrolled, right, and we also can check in and see whether his claim is pending. So, remove all this already known items out of your disambiguation, and then going down is personalized answer, right. How much is my bill, you say the exact answer, right. The more critical one is make it dialogue such a way that there is an interaction, do not give too much information at one go, and have them back and forth conversation coming back from the customers, keep them engaged. That way we know where they are falling out, and even if they connect to a live agent, we pass the history that they have with the bot to the agent. So, agent can pick up the conversation from where the bot is left. So, the major problem that we face is, I am going back a slide, that bottom, unrecognized intent. Some of the questions we do not understand, right. If I look at some of the questions and I have a viewer like this, right, I look at all the questions starting with I, and then you will see a ton of questions. I want this, I want that, I want this, how do I do this, right. Starting with I, starting with where, when, it is interesting to see, and what we learned is there is no way at any given point we can cover 100% of the questions. It is always chance that the 5% of the question the bot cannot understand. So, we got to have a fallback method, but at the same time we keep looking at the questions, how we can look at that unrecognized intent questions every day. How do I go train them further, right. So, I am going to talk about that little more detail. So, if the question is coming in and we do not understand them, it is part of two categories. The big categories are they are already in a flow and they are asking a subsequent question that we are not understanding, right. The example here is we might have told them there is an international plan you need to enroll, right. The subsequent question is how much is going to cost. We never anticipated it and we never added on our bot. So, immediately it is going to say I did not understand, right. So, this is something very contextual question. There is a question, but there is a context attached to a previous question, right. How much it costs, there is a previous question is do I have international plan. So, basically what he mean is how much is the international plan, right. So, it is a contextual question here, whereas the other question is no context associated, is a very straightforward fallout. So, I see this is the big difference in this, right. If you have to save a lot of dialogues, then we need to pay attention on one side, and if you need to answer more question, you pay attention on other side. So, how do we deal with them on a day-to-day basis on the unrecognized intents? And in our bot we have around like 15,000 unrecognized question every day, humanly impossible to look at all of them in a given day, right. Every day we get a 15,000 of them. So, we developed over the period the techniques to basically what we want to do is, okay, we have this many fallout questions, I want to know what is one or two bigger question in the pile, right, frequently asked questions, I want to put them in the bot, right. how do I identify it? That became another machine learning problem for us, right? So we go, what we did is we come up with, we have the existing training with the dialog flow. We took the training as it is, which is a supervised training, and then the follow-up questions. There is a ML model. We have like 4 or 5 models we developed. Each one has a varying success, right? One of them is semantic based, basically synonyms based, some of them. So we have like 4 or 5 models which we developed using the training that we have with the dialog flow, right? Using that as a supervised backbone of our model. And then we also have a synonyms words that we have. So both we combine them together, we created a model. So what happens is you get out 2 buckets. Basically, I want to know the clusters of questions, right? You see on the bottom there is a cluster of questions here, which is the question I already now answered them. It's just that it fall out. All I need to do is these questions, existing intents mean existing questions in my bot. All I need is I need to go train them again. Whereas on the top is a new questions altogether. I never trained it, I never prepared for it. So there are 2 type of question you may end up having in your fallout. So if you have a fallout, if it happen to be on the bottom side of the chart, right, and I see what is the top cluster that I is able to mine the data from, right, and then I go back, and obviously the machine is not the final authority to go and put it on our bot, right. We have to have a human to verify it, because it only goes so far. The machine only can give you clusters of questions relevant to a particular topic, but there is a error there, there is a noise there. You got to have some human sitting there making sure that is good, and then adding back to the training, right. So that is our day-to-day job, to reduce your fallout, or at least keep the fallout on the same rate, right. I think we have a very good fallout of around 9% right now, right. It's a very good rate. That's a combination of day-to-day what we look at the training and train back again and again, right. On the top, what you see is there are new questions comes out. We announce a new product, right. We recently announced new unlimited plan. All of a sudden you see a lot of questions on the new plan, right. You might have not planned for it, then all of a sudden it start appearing on that cluster. So what you do is you work with your business. Hey, I see a lot of questions on this, and then they prepare answer immediately. You address them right away, and then start working on, depending on the volume that they hit, we kind of work out on the plan on, is it a dialogue that we need to build, or you need a you can live with that static answer we put together. So this is where the problem is, right. What happens is the same model, you apply a question, what happens is the black ball, and those are unrecognized because the black ball is not in your training, right, and the green ball is a little more darker, it is not in the training, it is going to fall out, right. So what we are trying to say here is the fallout can be of a blue color or green color. The green could be trained back into the pile here, right, then next time that green could be recognized. So my fallout is in 2 categories to identify either the black ball or a green ball. If it is green, put it back in the training. If it is black, let's work with business to address that, how to address it at need, right. The next bigger problem that we have is if I have, imagine the training box here, right, yellow mixed up with green, green mixed up with yellow, right. So if you have a training which is messed up, right, then your model is going to be suffering a lot, right. So your objective is to make sure this particular pie, each pie has a relevant colors of ball. So in the NLP world, that become a challenge, right, because each one of them are training at phrases. So making sure that they are disjoint is very hard. So there is another technique we developed. Basically, each of my intent need to be disjoint, right. So we have a synonym based word n-grams developed with the ML technique to figure out, is there a first question and this second question has some common set of synonyms exist, right, and if so, we alert our linguistic engineers to go figure out what's going on between these two, make sure that it has enough disjointness between these 2 intents, because this is very key to make sure your model is working on its best capacity. All right, so that covers the whole bot side of it, right. Now the rest of the slides are where are we going with that next, right. The very first thing what we are seeing in the industry is how do I do asynchronous messages. What we do so far is there is a session based. Asynchronous in the sense is you are talking with the agent, right, not on the bot. you're talking to a live agent on the other side, but asynchronous, right? That means on the go they chat, they ask one question, 1 hour later they respond back, customer respond back. So they have their own time to respond. So here is how it works, right? Live chat is, if you are chatting with one of the agent, most probably both of them are actively participating. If customer takes few more minutes to respond, the agent may say, sorry, are you here 2 times, and then disconnect the call, right? Then that is how the live chat works. But messaging normally, right, the question, the customer, we are expecting customer to respond on their own time, right? If that's why it is on the top, whereas the agent can respond quickly right away, right? The customer can respond on their own pace, but the problem with that is they may respond next day, right? So the question may end up going to another agent altogether. That agent has to have a continuity, right? The question may be started with the international plan, and he might have researched something on the account, he might have advised the plan, and then the next agent come in, he need to pick up from there. So that is a challenge out there. So what we are seeing is there is a very good way to put our bot behind the agent. So help the bot helping the agent, right? That is where we are coming out with that. So recently you might be knowing Apple announced a business chat. You can go discover right now. I think Home Depot is part of it. You can go discover Home Depot on your iPhone, and then you can chat with the business. So this is basically a synchronous message, and we are trying to explore on the similar areas. So this is another one I was talking about, AI assistant. How do we assist our agents, our live agents behind the scene, right? Example is, assume this is centerpiece is our agent sitting there helping our customers. The question comes in, and how do we have the bot side by side helping the agent? Okay, there is a question comes, and it immediately looks up the account. He don't have to go through multiple systems to figure out what's going on. Immediately there's a question comes in the side by side, he click the button to respond through the bot. So there is another activity going on, basically merging the live bot and put same bot helping the agents to speed up the productivity for their side. Okay, and then what other interfaces we are working on? So the very next thing what we are working on is this IVR channel, right? This is where we see a very good, point in time. We have a technology ready, right? The reason is the voice to text is much more human like now, right? And also the voice to text is also more accurate. So both put together and use the same AI engine that I have in the back end, right? Power them. So we are experimenting with Google voice to text, as well as the speech API from Google, or using Nuance, both of them looking good. So trying to use the same bot that we have, just put the voice interface and connect them with our IVR. So that is our first line, right? We are working on these two other channels, right? Alexa and Google Home. We are still seeing a problem with the secure data, right? The data audio going through Google Home, Google's platform, and then we are getting a text. So there is a security issues around our customer's voice going around, Google premises, Alexa premises. So we have some challenges, right? So we feel that these two platforms are still not ready for a transactional interactions. It could be good for like FAQs. If they ask simple questions, when is iPhone going to be ready, right? We can say that, but it's okay. But if they ask, okay, how much is my bill balance? That's a sensitive data. We don't want to play it on this devices. So we are waiting for a technology transfer there. It's a better way to manage our customers' data within ourselves, right? So we are waiting for these two areas. On the other side, the Google, you might have seen Google Assistant, right? In your Android phone, you can ask questions. Right now, Panera Bread have a very good interface. You can say, talk to my Panera Bread. They combine the voice to the visual together. For example, you say, can I order and take out, take a pickup from your location? They may give you a list of location nearby, but they only speak the top one. So it is kind of a audio and visually also you are presenting. So that is another appealing technology. But again, the technologies are such that, right, the security become questions. So we are still debating where to go there, right? So this is another area which is very interesting. It's not that already there. There are two ends of this avatar story, right? The left side, what you see is Amazon has the pre-cooked avatar available for you. So, as a programmer, we can go there, pick one of those existing avatar and play with it. Very simple. It's like it will take an hour to get your avatar going, but it will look very creepy. It will look very so it will look very monotone, right? Whereas the other end, the company called Soul Machines, they take a real person and they take a picture of the real person and then model their emotions, connect them with the text that we are going to play back. For example, congratulations can have a movement on eyes and the jaw movement change on the face, right? So that connections are there. But that one requires like a huge lot of investment. You need to first define your face of your company, right? That's a huge investment. So we are thinking somewhere down the line it is going to be real, but we are closely watching here in this space. The last piece, right? No matter what we do, we will not be able to understand 100% of the intent, right? But the ML can. What our philosophy is, ML could come and help us. For example, if customer says, I have why I don't have a service on my phone, right? This is a various reason in which it could happen. So what we were thinking is the ML can detect the topic, very high level topic. That NLP can give me a topic, not necessarily the exact question, but ML could tell me what is going on in his account, right? What is the top driver on his account, right? We know some cases, if you have certain amount of bill higher than the normal, you end up having questions, right? You may end up calling us, right? That may be one question. And we suspended your line, we know you're calling right away, right? The ML could tell you, connect the unknowns to the partially known intent, like that the high level intent that, and ML tells you based on what's going on in your account, then we can able to give a disambiguated answers. May not be very perfect, we may be able to get to a closer question there, right? This will allow us to further reduce our the unrecognized intent, because unrecognized intent is a bigger problem for us as we go and handling with it, right? So we were thinking this is the way to go in the future, because we are spending way too much time answering each one of the questions, and we need to have a catch-all strategy. So this is our catch-all strategy. If you don't understand what is that ML plus the topic recognition combinedly can address the problem or not, right? So that's where we're going. All right, that wraps up my session. So I think